Hello and welcome to Devon Live Chat. And today we've been joined with Stuart and also Loki. And today we are talking theme parks. Theme parks, not just in the most theme park capital of the world, which is Orlando, but also touching on some of the ones in Europe and a little bit close to home. We're also talking about maybe just up the road, really, down in Exeter, just outside Exeter. Fairly good theme park there. But let's just explain something what a lot of people get the wrong idea about. Theme parks. Are they for kids? Are they for teenagers? Or are they for adults? Or in my case, grown-up kids that have never grown up? Theme parks, are they all just roller coasters? Are they other things? Water parks are also classed as theme parks. It's anywhere which has a theme. Now, before we go too far, let's first off say, Stuart, what's your favourite type of theme park? Would it be a water park or would it be one with roller coasters? What type of theme park is the thing that says that's what I want to do?
I don't really think I have a favourite one. I enjoy ones with roller coasters. I enjoy ones with water parks. So, like I said, I don't really have one.
Right. I must admit, actually, that as you can see behind me, there's a big roller coaster going on just in the back of my office. It didn't take me long to build that one either, but that was the way it was. But there is a happy medium here, actually, because I quite like theme parks. I quite like water parks as well. And we did discover a water park where it's like a roller coaster, where it goes uphill and downhill as well, called a Master Blaster. And that is certainly on the agenda for me to go and enjoy sometime after the lockdown actually finishes. Same question to you then, Loki. What is your ideal theme park? Is it water park? Is it roller coasters? Is it a theme of superheroes?
I knew the superheroes bit would come out. I'm an adrenaline junkie, so for me, anything with big roller coasters is an absolute must. But I also do like water parks that have, because sometimes you want something relaxing. I love lazy rivers. So if a water park has a lazy river, I'm happy.
So with the theme parks in general, right the way across the board, they've been in lockdown. I know for a particular fact that I found myself with tickets, which I think I've still got somewhere here, which I could hold up. There you go. Ooh, look, Mr. Disney Man. Yep, there you go. Park shut while I was there. It was a question actually I put on our travel show earlier in the week. If I'd purchased those tickets with a whole complete package, then I would have got a refund. But because I brought them separately, it means that I've got to speak to the provider and see what happens. So that is something there. But theme parks, as I say, I was in Orlando. It was in March. Just under a week left of my holiday. The announcement was made on their local TV that Disney, Universal, and all the other particular parks were going to be closing on that Saturday. Paid a lot of money for the tickets, but you can't use them if they are not open. But that means that theme parks are now about to start opening up again. I don't know if we've got any dates on that yet, but it's going to be slightly different, isn't it? You're not going to be making big great queues up behind each other. Social distancing has to come into it. What news have we got on that?
Well, some of the parks in the UK are going to be opening on the 4th of July, and they're going to be opening their main theme parks with the rides. Alton Towers have actually had their gardens open since the 6th of June. Drayton Manor, from on their website, they've got no plans to open anything at the moment. And obviously, the local one, Creeley, they're planning to open on the 4th of July as well.
4th of July
Slight
seems like
amendment.
celebrations for America at the same time, doesn't it? Like 4th of July. You're going to say, Loki?
Slight amendment on the Creeley one. They're opening their resort on the 4th, but the actual theme park won't. They haven't released a date for when the theme park will be opening. So just to quote here, first paragraph from their website, which is, "We are delighted to announce that we are making preparations to the resort with the view of a partial reopen on Monday, the 6th of July, 2020. The theme park, however, will remain closed until further notice." So if you see that a theme park has a resort and they're saying they're going to be opening on the 4th of July, go onto their website, have a look, and just make sure that the theme park will actually be open. Because if a theme park has a resort with it at the same point, as you can see here, they'll open the resort, but the theme park may not be open. So always check the website and just confirm first.
I think maybe it might be that, like a lot of other holiday resorts and things like that, the guidance which is being given by the various different governments hasn't been totally clear to say, okay, press the button, you can now open, you can have your guests come in. Especially here in the UK, we haven't actually had that directive yet that, okay, the park is open. That's not a theme park, that's an ordinary park. And it's not until they turn around and say, do you know what, you can now open to guests. But there's got to be a lot of preparation made as well. I know for a fact that there's certain parks around the world, they've been putting perspex shielding up. So when you line up, you can be quite close to somebody, but there is a perspex shield between you and the other person. Therefore, you can keep that social distancing. It's a pity, actually. I didn't bother to bring a picture of such things going on. But I know for a fact that Disney have opened up in the Far East. They opened up their parks there, but with a difference, with limited numbers. And I do believe that in Orlando and in California, the same thing's happening there as well. So when the park capacity was a certain amount, what they're talking about is, I think it's about half or maybe just a third. And you won't be queuing up. It's a virtual queue. Now, I don't know if either of you two have got any information on virtual queues. It's something which is a little bit different. I think I'm getting a nod here. Do you know about virtual queues?
I've come across them, but it'll be, from one of the things that I've seen, it'll be a bit similar to the fast pass system. So you'll get a time slot for when to be at the ride, and then you go around the park, do your other bits at the same time. So it kind of limits how many people are there.
Have you heard anything about virtual queuing, Stuart?
I've not come across anything yet, but chances are that's probably going to be in effect with some of the theme parks in the UK as well as abroad.
Yeah, because I've looked at some video footage of what people are doing, and the rides have got to be wiped down. Instead of the travel vehicle just pulling up, people exiting, next lot jumping in. There's a little bit more involved to all of this now, isn't there? You've got to wipe it down. You've got to do the thing of, you can't have every single seat occupied. It's going to have a really, really big sort of difference. Now, on parks, have we got any possible opening times of some of these? Do we know what's going on at the moment?
Well, sorry, go on, Stuart.
Right. Okay. Then. Well, I've had a look at Merlin Entertainments. Merlin Entertainments have a lot of theme parks around the world. For example, they've got Legoland in New York, Legoland in Florida, Legoland Windsor here. They've got Alton Towers, Chesterton World of Adventures. So what they've been doing is using their experience from other places and making a pool of knowledge. So at the moment, they are planning to reopen their actual theme parks with all the rides on the 4th of July. And obviously, there's going to be a lot of measures which they're taking in place before that, before they'll actually open up to the public.
Good news. And you've got some information as well, Loki.
I do, and that's that the mentioning Orlando earlier. Certain parts of the Universal Orlando are already open, which they've got some absolutely brilliant precautions that they're taking, and which I'll talk about in a moment. But SeaWorld Orlando are set to reopen next week, and that will be opening their parks in Tampa, Busch Gardens, and Adventure Island. And Walt Disney World plans to welcome back visitors next month. The dates for that is the Magic Kingdom and Animal Kingdom are set to open on July the 11th. And Epcot and Hollywood Studios are set to reopen on July 15th.
I understand actually Universal already reopened their doors, haven't they? I think they did that. Was that last week or the week before? I was watching a walkthrough of how it has changed in a short space of time, because as I mentioned, I was there just before, well, when it closed down, and you're walking around and there's lots and lots of people there, but now it's limited numbers. So really, the thing of advice is, if you are going to visit a theme park here in the UK, because at the moment we can't really travel out of the country, and if we do, then we've got to come back and go into quarantine until the government sort of changes their minds on all of that. So it's probably better, if you need to have your theme park fix, it's probably better to stay here in the UK. But I think the golden rule is go and have a look at their website, go and see what is open, see what facilities they've got, what is the safety measures that they put into place, how much social distancing that you feel safe with. Because is it possible to go into a theme park and have a one-way system? I'm trying to think that every time I've ever been to a theme park, I know where I'm going. I might go one way round, but there's not every ride that you want to partake on. You might want to miss a ride. You go on to another ride. Oh, I missed that one. I'm just going to walk back to it. Would a one-way system, could you see that working, Stuart?
No, not really, because everybody, like you said, is going to be wanting to go to their particular favourite ride. So I can't really see a one-way system working that well, because you'll just get people going round in long circles because they might have gone to one ride first and then would need to backtrack on themselves to get on the next ride they want to do.
So really, the only way that would work, really, because most of these parks have got quite large thoroughfares, haven't they? So I suppose if, like, you were driving, you drive on the left, so you'd walk up the left and you'd come back down on the other side. So I suppose if you could look at a walkway, divide it in half, one way up, one way down, and I think that might work. That way, that if you had to go back to a ride, that would be quite easy, wouldn't it? You pick that opportune moment when there's a gap, and you just cross over and go back the other way. I think patience is a virtue, and patience is really where it's got to be on this particular subject. If you are a theme park person, like we touched on earlier on, in your times of going to theme parks, Stuart, what was the average age of the people that you've seen there?
Well, I've seen people of all ages now. I've seen like little children right up to elderly people, and they're all there enjoying themselves.
Which is great, because I think this goes for virtually every theme park, isn't it? That they are catering for all ages, from tiny tots, even ones in prams, right the way through to people who have walking difficulties and they're in mobility scooters. And that is something actually which is worth touching on with theme parks. If you do have a disability, you have a problem. If you go to the guest service desk and tell them certain parks have certain things that help people who have got mobility problems. I know, and I can talk for personal experience, that if you go to the service desk at Disney, it's like a fast pass. You go along, you go to the gate of the ride, you say, my name is on this list. They've actually put that on the system. They will then say, the length of the queue at the moment is, say, 50 minutes. You come back in 50 minutes time, and then you walk down the same line as a fast pass person. That way you can go and sit down, relax without being worn out. Nothing worse actually than standing in a queue with lots and lots of people. You can't sit down. When you actually get to the ride, you're going, I don't really want to do this now. So always check that if you do have a problem, a disability, go and check with each of the parks, because it might be they have those sort of systems in place. Loki, looks like you want to say something.
Well, we've just had a comment come through from one of our viewers about Wicksteed Park in Kettering, which is one of the kids' theme parks. There we go. And just saying that they've actually had to go into administration. Now, that's one of the other things that we were going to possibly touch on later, is how the COVID crisis has affected various businesses, like the theme parks and that, and forced them into administration, and some of them have turned around and said that they just won't be reopening. So it's quite a sad thing when that happens. Absolutely.
I think anybody within what's been going on with COVID-19, if anybody's lost their jobs, it was, I must admit, actually, for the government to say furlong your staff and we'll pay the bills, was very brave and very good. Thank you very much indeed. But it actually gets to a point where they reduce the amount that is being paid and expect the employer to pay the rest. As that gets more and more, you're finding that some people say, look, unless we're back to doing what we were doing before, goodbye. As we're talking theme parks, I know for a fact that in certain areas, and I'm talking maybe Epcot, they employ a lot of foreign nationals, because as you walk around the World Showcase, each country would have people from their own country manning it. And I know some people local actually to North Devon. One particular lady went out and worked there, and she ended up working at the Harry Ramsden Fish and Chip Shop, which sounds fine. I would imagine it was pretty hot in there at the height of summer. But everybody who's in the England, in Great Britain, they're all British people working there. Same with France, Mexico, any part as you go around the World Showcase, they are people. And that's where one of their problems is, because when they got to close down, they turned around and actually said that everybody who's there working from foreign parts had to leave. They had no accommodation. They had to go back home. Well, until people can actually travel again, they can't actually man it with the people that they had before. So there's a difference there. That's a big difference to start off with. If you've ever been around that showcase and you see some of the things that they've got, for example, if you went to China, you're not only seeing the things which is good about China, You could be going down the river in a 360-degree cinema, but you've also got a lot of performers working. Yes, human beings doing acrobatics, juggling, and stuff like that. And Chinese state circus, call it that if you wish, but you're not going to see that until people can start traveling again, and that's an important thing. So theme parks UK, theme parks Europe, because there are so many European theme parks as well, and there are some rather large ones. Now, I don't know if either of you have got details on what's happening in Europe, or have you just, looked at the UK and we're going to do Europe on another day? Loki?
I'm just looking out now as we speak. So
You
we'll
are.
have an answer for you, hopefully, in a moment.
Okay. Apart from America, what theme parks have you actually been to, Stuart?
I've been to Alton Towers, and that's about it, really.
Alton Towers, quite an accomplished place because they got a hotel, they got gardens, they've got the park, they've got an awful lot of things going for them. So you don't have to just go there for one particular thing. So was it a day trip or was it a weekend?
Well, that particular day I was actually working there. They'd actually requested in some extra staff for the day, and I was one of the lucky few that was able to go up there and work for that particular day.
There you go. That's the sort of job then, whatever you do that other people might want to do, if they can get along there and get a free day in a theme park. How are we doing with what's going on the European front of theme parks?
Well, I've found two in particular that have actually already opened, which is the Dutch theme park, and I hope I pronounced this one right, Efteling, and the German theme park, Europa Park, actually opened on May the 20th for Efteling and May the 29th with the Europa Park. So they've actually already reopened, and the parks are often praised as being better than Disney by parents, with Europa Park winning best theme park in the world last year.
It's an amazing park. It's got lots and lots of things going for it, and I would strongly advise anybody that if your anticipation of going to a theme park, UK, Europe, anywhere further afield in the world, go to YouTube and have a look at what they have to offer. Some people like YouTube, other people go, "Oh, I'm not sure about." But if I actually ask the question with our guest today, have you ever been onto YouTube and ridden virtually one of the rides to see exactly what you can expect? Quite often it's like a front seat. So if you're going to go and do a particular ride, a roller coaster, it could be an old wooden one, it could be a steel one that is actually going to go loop the loop, barrel rolls and things like that. How often have you, Stuart, gone, I'm going to have a quick look at this theme park, I'm going to look at these rides, I'm going to sit in that front seat from my own comfort of my home? How often have you done that?
Pretty much every time I've planned to go to a theme park, I'll always go onto YouTube, have a look for videos of the rides, see which rides I want to do most. And it's mainly because you've got those views from person sat in the first seat on the ride, so you can actually see what the ride is actually doing. And to mention one that I'm particularly looking forward to doing at some point is the one you mentioned at the start of the show, Master Blaster. That looks absolutely fantastic.
Just in case anybody didn't come in at the beginning, the Master Blaster is a water park where instead of going down a slide, the slide will actually go down, but it will also propel you up the hills as well. And I must admit, actually, I came across this while I was investigating on YouTube my next place of destination of a holiday. And I've got to do this. And I thought, you know what? That looks great. And it was actually saying that this was in the Middle East and it was going to cost X amount to get there, a lot more actually to stay in a hotel because Dubai is not cheap. And it's the only one in the whole world. Well, they were wrong on that because through investigations, you don't have to go that far to you know, experience the thrill of a master blaster at a water park. There's one at Butlins in Minehead. There's another one at Alton Towers. There are probably about 5 or 6 in the country. There's a large one at the Sandcastle in Blackpool. So you could go to one of these to experience without actually traveling to Dubai. Though I must admit, the idea of the sun beating down on you whilst playing around in a water park sounds really good. But if it's that time of the year here in the UK, then maybe indoors is a good enough place to be. And you don't have to travel that far. The same question then to Loki. What sort of rides have you actually ridden on virtually via YouTube?
Well, I spend a lot of time looking at roller coasters on YouTube because I like you, I'm always looking for the next, oh, I've got to do that ride. So the one ride that I regret having not had a chance to go on was Space Mountain. So that one, I'll admit, I've been sat on quite often. Because one of the other things as well is there are particularly videos on YouTube you can find of the dark rides with their lights on. And I also find those quite fascinating to watch as well. So what they do is during maintenance or something of the ride, they'll put the camera on, they'll have all the lights on, and you don't realize, prime example is the Mummy ride. Which is in the Universal parks, and it's all very dark. They've got loads of special effects, projected images, things like that throughout the ride, and you don't realise how many twists and turns there actually are whilst you're in the process of being on the ride. So they're absolutely fascinating to watch.
One of those things actually is you can with Universal do a walk-in tour of the Mummy. That was quite interesting. Of the fact that in operation, as you said, it's a dark ride. There's a few dark rides around, so you don't really know where you're going and in which direction you're going to. And then when you actually see it with the lights on, which actually starts off with maintenance because they have to check the track. Regardless if it's indoors or outdoors, the tracks have to be checked for safety reasons. So the indoor ones, they need to put the lights on, and then they run the train vehicles through just to make sure that it is okay. And from time to time, they've put a camera on the front of it as well, and that's where those videos come from. And as Loki said, it's an amazing experience. Looking at something that you've actually traveled on and enjoyed in the dark, and then when you go and see it with the lights on, wow, how much different is that? It's a little bit like the rock and roller coaster over at Disney. I had been on that several times, and I have a feeling that any roller coaster in the dark I can cope with. If it's outside, I can't. That's just me. I don't do barrel rolls. I don't do loop the loops. That does all of that. And it wasn't until I saw it with the lights on that I thought, that was brave. How did I manage to do that? That is not me. But we got there in the end. But
I've got to admit, I'm never going to forgive you for the rock and roller coaster. And the story behind this is that I was lucky enough to go to Disney with Martin, and he turned around to me and went, "Oh, I think you'll enjoy this one." And we were in the queue, and I don't know if anyone here has seen the Rocking Roller Coaster, but you go through the barriers and everything, and you can watch it going away. So as we were walking towards it, we were getting closer, and we were getting ready to go on, and I could see the next cart going. And as I was stood there, they were doing the countdown. I was like, "Oh, okay, this is nice. This is nice." And then they reached 0, and that ride went from, and I hope I get this right, 0 to 60 miles per hour in a couple of seconds. This thing just shot off. I will admit I was slightly intimidated at that point. I look at Martin, who is sat there laughing because he knew exactly what was going to happen.
Me? Would I do that? I don't think it actually made 60 mile an hour. I think it's probably more 40 or 45 mile an hour. But very enjoyable, I must admit. Let's pick on another ride, actually, which is very enjoyable and very popular, and something which is actually very different, so to speak, and it's the Hagrid ride. And you will find that at Universal in the Harry Potter part of the park. Motorbike and sidecar. You either the passenger in the sidecar or you're riding the bicycle. Don't worry about it. Safety is always a full aspect, and it has many different area launches. It don't just launch for the first time. They use a lot of electromagnet launching on theme rides. So it goes off at a certain speed. I think this has got 4 or maybe 5 different launches. It also has a situation where you're going forward, you stop because it's an end, and then you start going backwards. It's called a transfer. So you actually get transferred onto a different route. Very clever. How to keep everything going, doing the transfers. But it's also got a drop. It has, I think it's 12 or 16-foot drop. You're actually there in the vehicle, and then it drops through the floor down onto another part of the ride. So, the track then continues after. And then when your set of bikes, your train moves on, it then lifts back up again, ready for the next one to come in. That is very clever. So theme parks are being innovated. And when somebody turns around and said, "Oh, this ride cost £30 million to put in," that is lots and lots of figures. It wasn't until I actually saw the construction and what was involved in this, then you can appreciate the gate price to get in. Over and over again, theme parks keep reinventing themselves. I'm going to come to Stuart on this one because he's like busy looking at something. How many times have you been to the same theme park, but it's actually got something new?
Well, Disney and Universal seem to be a prime example here, because I go every couple of years. Obviously, they're always upgrading something, always putting in something new. Like at the moment, they've just put in all the Galaxy Edge area at Disney, which for any Star Wars fan, there you go. You can go in the Star Wars Cantina on Tatooine and all that sort of thing. You can build a lightsaber, and that's something I am looking forward to going and seeing. But it seems to be a thing nowadays. They're always adapting and bringing in something new.
Reinventing, bringing in new lands and everything else. And
well, I've got an interesting question for both of you there, which is because you both keep an eye on what's going on with the theme parks and that. Of the new rides that have just opened, or new areas that have just opened or are opening in the near future, do either of you and do any of our viewers have any that they're looking forward to trying?
Good question. I must admit, actually, that the Star Wars area, which they put in, because they have got such a lot of area where they can expand to. I'm not saying anybody in particular, but this particular person that you're about to see thought that, talking of Disney, the different parks were just different parts of it. When I explained that it was probably like the
Yes.
of North Devon, he thought that Animal Kingdom was just part of the Magic Kingdom with Epcot stuck on the side of it. Wasn't quite the way. And, this man here, I'm not shaming him, but he thought that I could just walk from this one to that one. When he realized that driving from one part to another could take 15, 20, 25 minutes, he thought he was just going to walk. But that's life. That's the way it goes. Now, we were talking about the Hagrid ride. If you want to pick it up on YouTube, there is the details there. Stuart's put those up. Just copy that, click on it, and you'll find out all the details. And there is several. There's the full ride. There's part of the ride.
Also,
the one I would suggest is how it works. There's a whole complete set of different theme parks, different rides of how it works, and it does open your mind of, wow, these people are quite clever, how they put it all together. And one of the most innovative rides, which has been there now for quite a few years, Spider-Man. 3D ride, wear glasses, but the vehicle that you are in rotates, it slides from side to side. Your mind then starts getting taken over, and you feel like you're dropping from the top of a very high building just before Spider-Man throws his web and saves you. So are they the sort of rides, like Transformers is the same as well? Are they the sort of rides that take your fancy as well? Stuart, are you a roller coaster, or do you like 3D rides?
I like the 3D rides. I like roller coasters as well. For anyone who doesn't actually know, we were talking about the Spider-Man there. Just to give you an idea of what you're actually sat in, is like with the waltzers at the fairgrounds, where you sit in that kind of half U-shaped seat, and they spin you round and round. You're sat in something like that, and you are then spun around and moved on a platform as you're going through the ride. And for me, I love those rides. I love Transformers. I love the Spider-Man, where you got to see everything and it flung you around, when really all you're doing is actually just staying in the one spot and moving around in that seat.
Yeah, it's screen to screen.
Another really good one like that is the Harry Potter Quidditch ride and the Harry Potter Castle. And the way they've done that is similar. You're sat in the car, if you will, but they actually have an arm that lifts it up. So you're going round and you can see everything that's happening, and the arm is rotating and twisting you, so you're moving along with what's happening. So the technology on some of these are absolutely amazing.
This is where the money, to put these rides in comes, for the technology side of it. And the fact that, when you look at gate prices to go into theme parks seems to go up and up and up. And you could actually say, last time I went, it was only X amount, and now it's X, Y, and Z. But when they're spending that sort of money, they've got to get their return, because it is an investment. Similar to that would be Soar. That, or was it Flight? I'm trying to think. I thought it's called Soar. Is it the one in the hang glider?
Yes. Oh, the hang glider. Yeah, Soar.
Yeah, that's very good as well. So, have we got any news on what has been developed, what's new, what's coming to UK theme parks? We got an update on any of those?
Not on release dates, and although it's technically not a theme park, it's one of our local attractions, the Living Coasts, which unfortunately announced that they were not going to be able to reopen due to the COVID crisis. They have 3 hours ago released a statement to confirm that they have managed to find homes for all of the animals that they have on site. So there was a bit of concern that they were going to have to let them go. But they can now confirm that they have found homes for them. So well done to them.
Well, they always said that they would find a rehome. Rehome. You can't just let them out. Can you imagine like just popping around your house and there's half a dozen penguins answer the door? I really couldn't see that happening. But there again,
it'd be cool.
Knowing you, you'd probably give a home to a penguin anyway. But it's sad that the place had to shut. It would have been nice actually if the Torbay Council had actually jumped in to help out. I don't know if you saw that the area where it's situated was a really eyesore bad place. And then when they put that in, the council helped to put it in because it made something of nothing. Now they're going to be stuck with something which is nothing. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen at all. Stuart, you're looking on there. Do you know of any innovative rides or anything of what's going to be coming into UK theme parks?
No, I don't know of any rides yet that are going to be coming in soon to the theme park UK. We have obviously got a new theme park planned to be opening soon, but obviously whether that's been delayed now due to the coronavirus or whether it's going to stick on plan, we'll have to wait and see for that information.
We're in a good part of the world actually to have theme parks, aren't we? Because our weather is a little bit more well, today maybe not, but most of the time that we have a better way. It would have been nice actually if Euro Disney had been placed somewhere in the southwest, but they decided on Paris instead. There was rumours at one time actually that they were going to put it in Tenerife in the Canaries because the weather would have said it would have a much bigger, better occupancy of people going to because the weather is always so kind. Eternal spring, I think they call that. Facebook.com theme park magazine. This is what we were actually going to be speaking about earlier on because a friend of ours, Nick Doherty, he's actually started a magazine which is all about theme parks, where they are, what they've got, what you expect to see, and you just go along to that particular address which we put up on there. Probably find an email, well, a website for it as well, and it will give you the ins and outs of what's going on. And again, it's not just America, it's Europe, it's the UK, and just get in touch with him on there and he can advise you or answer any questions that you actually have. So if you want to do that, that'd be good. And we'll leave that actually on this page as well. Now, let's get to conclusion or final thoughts. But I think Loki wants to say something just before.
Just before we do, and I hope that I hope I've got the right one that Stuart was referring to. The theme park that was going to be opening up in the big theme park that's going to be opening up in the UK is opening up in Swanscombe in Kent, and it's due to open in 2024. Originally, it was called the Paramount Kent. Then it became Paramount Pictures Theme Park. Then was known as London Paramount Entertainment Resort. They've now simply gone down to the London Resort. So work is being done on that at the moment. It was originally announced on the 8th of October, 2012. So it's going to be doing a lot of the rides based on the Paramount movies. which will include themes like the Starport, Jungle, the Isles, the Kingdom, the Woods, the Studio, and the High Street. So it's going to be the UK's Paramount version of Disneyland.
Nice. What would be nice, actually, and we'll leave this on the page, maybe we ought to take a vote on people's favourite parks, regardless of where they are in the world. And then we could have like a top 10, like suddenly you could go sideways, like Loki has. You know, that's always different.
I do apologise about that.
That was an inverted ride, was it? You know, I think
yes,
that's
yeah. We were talking rides. I thought I'd give it a go.
Yeah, a bit of airtime. That's another thing actually, which a lot of people talk about when you see different theme park reviews on YouTube. They talk about airtime. What is airtime?
I think that it's to do with how long the ride, if it's like a roller coaster and that, how long you're actually from launch.
No, it's actually when you're going across the top of the hill or the dip of actually where it feels like your stomach's coming up in the air. That's airtime. You know, it depends on how many loops there are. Sometimes there are some people who rate rides as far as airtime is concerned. So that's another interesting fact as well. But have a think about which is your favorite parks. Post it at the bottom on our page here. And then we could make a list actually to see what is the most popular parks to go to. You don't have to give any particular reasons. Just vote for your favourite park. It could be the one which is down near London. It could be Thorpe Park, Alton Towers, Creeley. You could have come up with some more names then, are you, Stuart? Name some parks for us. I'm sure you've got a big, great long list there.
Well, I have actually, because, like I said, I've done a bit of research into Merlin Entertainment and what they're planning to do for opening with the coronavirus. They have multiple parks around the world. They own the Legoland franchises. So they've got like California, Germany, Dubai, Florida, Japan. They've got the Alton Towers Resorts, Chesterton World of Adventure, the Gardaland, Hyde Park, Thorpe Park, Warwick Castle. They've also got Madame Tussauds, Peppa Pig, Shrek Adventure, London Eye, Sea Life, The Dungeons. So you can name loads.
There's a lot to choose from there, isn't there? Talking about the London Eye, that is a very popular tourist attraction, isn't it? I don't know if it would actually fall into a theme park, but when you go to, say, for example, Orlando Eye, there are other attractions there as well. And it seems like let's build the biggest Ferris wheel in the country. Everybody will come and have a go on it. And I think that all started off really with the London Eye, and then suddenly, that's a great idea. We do that. So, any more to that list then, Loki?
Well, some of the smaller ones. So places like the Big Sheep or no, not Atlantic Village. I'm trying to think. Milky Way. We have all these really big theme parks. Don't forget that sometimes just look around because you may be surprised and find one on your own doorstep.
On your own doorstep would be a lot cheaper actually, because you haven't got to pay to get there and get back again. So yeah, always go along to those. And talking about the Milky Way, the roller coaster they got there outside originally was at a northern shopping centre, and it was an indoor attraction. I can remember going on it when it was an indoor attraction a long, long time ago. I think that's an improvement on certain people's faces. Oh, no, he's back again. You just spoiled
Sorry
it.
to disappoint.
Yeah. No, there used to be a big shopping centre just outside Newcastle. and that roller coaster actually lived there along with a load of other fairground rides, and then it closed down, and Rick Turner purchased it, rebuilt it, and put it into the Big Sheep. So that saved it. That's another thing, actually. If you ever go onto YouTube and you want to look at various different theme parks, have a look at disused theme parks as well. You think that everybody makes a lot of money at theme parks. It is hard work for them. And there are some very good articles there about defunct rides, closed theme parks, where some of the rides are still just sitting there and the undergrowth is just taking over. And that's good viewing. It's something interesting to look at. Anyway, let's do final thoughts before we say our goodbyes. Stuart, final thought for today.
Well, like I was saying, looking at what Merlin Entertainments have got coming in with their response to COVID-19, with some of the things they're doing, like all employees and the guests arriving at the resort will be required to have a temperature check before they're allowed to enter a resort. It does look promising, and that they are trying to obviously get back to some sort of normality and still make sure people are enjoying themselves whilst adhering to the government sites. Obviously, some are trying to be accommodating, where obviously they prefer the contactless payment and they'll take cash where it's not convenient. And you've got other places like Poulton Parks where that are going to be a cash-free environment. So they're saying, sorry, you're not going to be able to pay for anything by cash. You need to have a card. And at Poulton Parks as well, if you want to get any food or drink, you must pre-order it via their park app. So some ways it's looking good in what they're planning to do to help stop this spread of coronavirus. But it's going to be interesting to see what it's going to be like after they've run for a while, and if they're going to make any changes to it and what those changes will be.
I think that's a good move, actually, because you don't really want to be in a theme park carrying a lot of cash around anyway, because otherwise it tends to fall out of your pockets and you don't know where it's gone. So they do tend to provide lockers so you can put bags and everything else in, or you're carrying security type of cash dispensers or whatever you want to. But I like that idea of what you're saying about pre-ordering food, or maybe a little bit like an all-inclusive. Really, you pay a price and your name is put onto the system, and you can have X amount of times of having drinks or foods. In fact, on that score, just come back for Stuart for a moment. You've actually done that actually on the Disney trip, didn't you? Where you actually had a food package as well.
While we went away on Disney, they were doing an offer at the time where they included the quick serve dining plan. What they do is they give you like a credit system, and you've got various outlets around the area where you can go and use these credits, and the little on the menu, you'll find there'll be like a little Mickey head next to the quick service items. So you can just quickly scan what you want, tell them what you want, and then it's already all paid for.
Excellent. So have a look. It's always worth looking around the fact that you can get deals on food and things like that, because they are running special things. I think something which we touched on travel, the travel program that we did recently, don't expect anything but increases in prices. Once we get over this virus, these people need to reimburse themselves. So if you thought, oh, I can go on holiday and go to a theme park, my holiday travel is going to be, say, £500, the chances are that it's not going to be £500 as a special deal. You'll probably be looking at £750, £800, or even £1,000. So if you are going to go to a theme park, you're going to buy those tickets. There will probably be an increase, but look out for those special deals. It's like when Stuart went, and there was the meal deals going on as well. I think that they will be doing those eventually. It'll probably be 2022 before those sort of things are becoming back to normality, where they will be there to get people along. And 2022, 23, 24, you can expect a new theme park in Orlando. Universal Epic will be opening, and some great rides are planned for there, like a continuation of the Harry Potter. If you saw the other franchise books, which was about the Beast, which I think somebody probably tell me the proper name of it. I saw the film the other day, quite enjoyed it, but that's going to be part of the park, along with Mario, along with Donkey Kong, and probably we could take Loki there, leave him there for a couple of days, forget he's even there, and then he'll turn up afterwards. Your final thoughts then?
Final thoughts were, as said earlier, if you're contemplating going to a park at the moment, just go onto their websites, confirm that they are actually open. There's nothing worse than going to a park and suddenly going, oh dear, we've just travelled 3 hours and they're shut. So always look on the website, confirm that they're open, and also don't forget to have a look at our at the travel magazine, which the links are in the description, in the comment section here, because that will have the latest information and everything of what's happening in the theme park world.
You can also get your tickets from there as well, I do believe, but we'll find out, because the author of that was supposed to be around today, but unfortunately is probably caught up somewhere else in a theme park or in a queue. I think the bottom line is what we're saying is there's a lot of things going on, and we will actually come back to this subject in a little bit more depth, a little bit more knowledge to share with you. But as the theme parks are beginning to reopen, measures of distancing will be put in place. Your safety is paramount. And I think from Stuart, Loki, and myself, stay safe. Thank you very much indeed for watching today. And you never know, we might bump into a theme park somewhere in the near future.